Bella, se voi non foste All right, hello. This is episode 7, Banners of North America. This is where I and Warbandman interview North American Bannerlord clan leaders, and sometimes EU ones too, about Bannerlord topics, Bannerlord community, and, you know, bringing everything together. This is episode 7. We should have a few more lined up very soon, but those are discussions for a later time. So for now, we introduce House of Nadros and its leader, Patty Nadros. If you'll say hello.
Hello, everybody. It's great to finally be on the podcast. It's been a while, but finally here and ready to go.
Yep, and I'm assisted by Warbandman, the co-host. If you'll say hello.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? Oh,
I'm sure they're doing fine. I hope they're doing fine. Okay, so we'll get right into the questions. As always, we kind of start with a background information about the clan and then get into some branching topics. So we'll start by asking the most obvious question, which is, did the name Nadros or the clan Nadros come first? Which did you name after which? Or was
That's
it
a
you
great
that gave the
question.
name at all? Tell us.
So, Nadros is a shortened version of my real last name. The first day I played this server, I loaded in I watched a Neko Bueno video, and my name was Patty Nadros, just my Steam name, right? Um, and there happened to be a village open, and this was like a couple hours into the mod, and I just happened to take the village and say, well, what's an easy clan name that I can come up with as soon as possible? And I called it House Nadros, and that's how I got the name. So
Well,
it's a shortened version of my last name, to say the least.
well, I hope that doesn't give up too much information, but
Oh, it's fine.
it's
It's
very
fine. My
convenient.
last name is way too long for people to figure it out.
Okay, well, yeah, this is an American audience majority, so they probably wouldn't know where to point to it on a map if they heard a foreign name. Uh,
Yeah.
Second question. W- the the amount of people in Nadros, it's a name that I've heard surprisingly a lot for not, being very out in the community. So, how many people are in Nadros currently, or would you like to talk about the higher extent of the amount of people you've had? Either one.
So I'd say over the course of 2 years, we've had a fluctuation of players coming in, grinding for a couple months, then having to go like back to their work or their families or whatever. So it definitely fluctuates, but I would say we've maintained an activity rate of like 20 people. I would say banner call. Um, so the numbers, I would say I haven't really put much effort into growing because my methods are more for quality and building a small group of people who are actually all friends, and we play other games and stuff with. So I guess in terms of the numbers, I would say 15 to 20 is a really good estimation of activity for sure.
For the banner call, you're saying
Just on a day-to-day
on day to
basis,
day.
I would have to say. In terms of PB, now I do. Native is not popular for my clan, at least the levies and the newer
Yeah, I
players.
don't think it's popular anywhere.
Um, Being a newer clan on the block, I don't have experience from back in the day, so I only know persistence. That's like the only thing I really know. I'm late to native, so I really haven't had to I haven't gotten my foot down into the native side of things, so it's not really popular amongst my clans. So we're mainly a persistent group right now, but we're trying to expand into the native side of things for sure.
That's pretty good. And
But
oh, sorry,
if
go
I
ahead.
had one more, if I had one more thing about the numbers is while the numbers aren't exactly the biggest, our activity rates will last from midday to 3 or 4 in the morning. Of 10 people in the VC, doing whatever, having fun. So that's definitely the thing I care about the most in terms of my style of leading. Right there is if I can have a small group of people that are like actually my friends and I know them personally. That's what I care about the most, I would say.
that's actually a lot of people compared to some of the other clans we've interviewed.
Yeah, well, I mean, it like I said, it fluctuates, it definitely fluctuates. I'm just being honest with the numbers too. I could easily say, more than 20, but that's not being honest.
Hmm.
I feel like, I'm not taking any shots at any clan leaders, but whenever they do say the numbers thing, they always exaggerate a little bit. Um,
Yeah, I mean, the public platform kind of style of it makes it to where, anyone can call you out if you say something off, and, same with us, the hosts, if we say something incorrect. So that's a good way of keeping us honest.
yeah, like I said, there have been times in the past where it's been way more than 20, but with unfortunately being a persistent based clan, when the mod does happen to go away for a while, then you lose play like the players who were dedicated and grinded, they go back to doing whatever like the other games that they were playing before. So that's the downfall of the inconsistent persistence in the last year, I would say, is you lose the players that you recruited and that showed up for weeks. They go back to playing their other games when the mod dies or whatever.
Yeah, I think besides the amount of story making and fun that is had on PB, I think the PB death cycle is the second most popular thing about it. But
Yeah, yeah.
regarding the numbers in Nadros, would you say that there are a lot of, because I mean, every clan has its members that aren't like active players, but they just, stick around in the VCs, they hang out, they give advice and stuff like that. Are there a lot of like support community members in your area, or is it mostly just the people who are actively in the games?
Oh, I would say we definitely have a lot of support people, like people who are obviously real clan members, but they just don't have the time or the interest to put in the hours or whatever. I would say whenever it's like a domino effect. Whenever a couple of us join the VC, like,
Mm-hmm.
a dozen people flock in
True.
over the course of the night. So I would say, in terms of the support and the people who are like actually playing, it definitely comes down to if the persistent mod is active and like functioning. Because if it is, then you're gonna get all types of different people. So, um, but I guess with me, if a player like has stuff going on in their real life, that's not a problem, of course, and I'll never like demote them
Of
or
course.
so I would say we have unfortunately, even though from a clan leader's perspective, it's like you want people to be grind dedicated, but also at the same time you gotta draw a line because there's real life stuff that comes into play. So I've been hit pretty hard over that with the last couple of months. It's like people having to go to college or go focus on their family or whatever it may be. So I've lost some pretty good, like dedicated people due to that, which it sucks, but it's all right at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, having that kind of closeness and relationship with people, kind of just by word of mouth, gives a good reputation because whoever they talk to, they're gonna passively, amplify the message that they know for themselves to be true. So having
Yeah.
having that really good relationship with your players, the deep, kind of passionate teamwork, that's something
Yep.
that has real
Exactly.
life consequences.
Yep.
Okay, so the last question of this section is you mentioned you're a PB based clan. I usually ask here, does your clan have like a unique or just kind of a normal style of getting in new players? Since you're a PB based clan, I'm assuming that this is like a kind of just going up to people without clan tags, talking to them if they like what you're about, then getting them in? Or do you have another
It
method?
Yeah, it definitely was in the beginning, but I would say over the last revival of PB, I've actually not want I didn't want to mass recruit and go up to anyone that's doesn't have a clan tag and just, say, "Hey man, you want to join my clan?" Like, I guess I haven't done that is because I'm not really too invested into the numbers part of persistence. I guess to me it's more of like if it's a right moment, if this person is the right fit. Because I feel like it's a little bit disingenuous to be like, hey, that guy has no clan tag. I'm going to conscript him into my clan, put him in my Discord, put him on clan tag, and just have him take orders from me when he's not a good fit. So I tried to not mass recruit anymore. I used to in the past because you had to grow the numbers, but I figured out that that's not really the best method to go about it for sure. So I guess the normal way of recruiting for us is kind of like mainly like referral based stuff. Like say someone's getting along with a new player, they're like, hey, this guy right here, this guy is the type that would like to join, So it's like it's kind of like a merit-based system when it comes to that, I would say. I keep an open door to anybody, just about, truthfully. But in terms of like the normal, typical camping the commoner spawn, just picking up anybody and then conscripting them, I guess I don't really do that anymore, not as much as I used to. Um, I guess it's because I do have the vision of like I said, building that quality group of people who actually want to be there and people who are who are the right fit. So I guess another way of getting members naturally is just through playing other games and stuff.
True.
Like just say us three we go play like a game like 7 Days to Die,
Hmm.
and Warband has a buddy, right, that he likes to play 7 Days to Die with, and
Hmm.
then that buddy hears about Bannerlord, and then he's like, well, Patty has a clan in Bannerlord, if you ever want to play, come play Bannerlord with Patty. It's like that's typically how it's gone, I would say, and there's been a lot of success in that, and
That's the
I guess
truth.
that's the style of recruiting I like to do is someone has a buddy who's interested in playing Bannerlord, come play, and then that guy ends up being a really loyal member who's like already connected to someone. It's a pretty cool system.
Yeah, I
So in
would
terms of
say
that,
I have personal experience with that as well. Recruiting is kind of difficult, especially if you don't play a lot of other games with people that
yeah,
have Bannerlord.
definitely.
But the only person that I've ever been able to recruit before, I've known since like 2021 or something like that, because we played another game together and we have kept contact, and then suddenly discovered they had Bannerlord, and now they're here.
Yep.
So how about
Yeah,
that?
a lot of people don't. That's the thing is like when you play other games, usually when like I guess in our community there is a niche part of like the gaming experience where everyone likes Bannerlord, Total War, games like maybe 7 Days to Die or whatever.
Crusader
And
Kings.
these people, yeah, Crusader Kings, these people do happen to have Mountain Blade Bannerlord. They just never knew that there was a multiplayer scene. So when you tell them about that, they're like, "Wait a second, really? I've always wanted to play multiplayer." And then all of a sudden, they go join your clan, and they're like, "Dude, I can craft and do all this stuff. Like, this is cool." That's like, man, if there was a little bit more advertising and just exposure to that side of things,
Yep. I mean, it's even
that'd be
crazier
cool.
to know how many people that play Bannerlord single player that don't know there's a Bannerlord multiplayer. So that's what we're
Dude,
doing here.
I didn't even know about it until, 2 years ago when I saw the Neko Bueno video, so
I got here last year. I forgot which video it was, but I got here somehow. So, next section is the kinds of games that you play, and Warband will lead that. Take it from here.
All right. So my first question is, what kind of events does the House Nadros participate in?
yeah, so definitely the Bloodhold events. I would say that's in
Whoop
Atria in
whoop.
the past. Those are for what it's worth, and to give credit where it's due. I like those events a lot. Especially having people who are, like I said, they're not native necessarily players. They do happen to like these events, and it's just a fun way of like getting the community together, just mocking heads and stuff. So I would say Bloodhold, Atria. My guys have been branching into skirmish, competitive skirmish, like matchmaking, and there's a new server that's up right now called Pickup Skirmish. Those are the events though that we really participate in, obviously outside of PB. So just
Interesting.
about
I
every event that's out there, I would say.
I didn't know about the new skirmish server. I'll have to check that out. But I
Oh
did
yeah, definitely.
participate in the Bloodhold event for the first time a few weeks ago, or last week maybe, and it was really fun. We played Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was I couldn't make it for that one. Unfortunately, the one time I get a Lord of the Rings mod, I couldn't make it, but I heard it was a great time. So you
Yeah,
know, I guess from my perspective, even if I can't make it or not, I'm very happy to see that there's like these flavor packs being added, like Lord of the Rings and hopefully Game of Thrones, like stuff like that. Man, those are some that's the step in the right direction. That's what PB needs, by the way. We'll get to that later, but stuff like that, man. Immersive armors and cultures, like that's the step in the right direction right there for sure.
Yeah, I agree. But they would probably have to make a separate mods for that or add-ons or something. Uh, but anyway, does your group have any other games they'd like to play?
Yeah, we recently the last game we this is when PB was in its last stages a couple weeks ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago. We got a dedicated server on 7 Days to Die, and we grinded away. We grinded hard on that, and we had like a couple other clans like Nefarious, uh, Pale Wash of Wotano, and maybe some SOEL guys. But we had a bunch of other people flocking in to 7 Days to Die. But that's like been our main game for sure. And Conan Exiles, I know people have been getting into that. Um, I think some of my leadership likes Arma, I believe. But other than that, I'd say that's pretty much it right there. 7 Days to Die is our main game, 100%.
That's cool. Sometimes I wonder if uh, playing other games is beneficial
Yeah,
for the
that's a good question.
Bannerlord community or if it takes people away.
I think you can't play Bannerlord the whole time, even if you are a Bannerlord
Well,
clan.
I'll put it into perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
The last week of PB, when it was getting under 10 people per day, I had 16 people per day on my 7 Days to Die server. So it was beneficial in the sense of like making up for some like just when the mod was dying, we still kept our people together, still played another game. I feel like that's a good, amazing balance. A lot of clans don't have that. They don't have that balance of like, okay, Bannerlord here, and then when it dies, where do you go? You know. So, I guess with us, we're always gonna find a game to play, whether it's Bannerlord or not. So, um, I think it is beneficial to your group, maybe to the Bannerlord community. I don't know because, like you said, there could be something like, like a player goes to play another game and never comes back type of situation. But um, I guess with us, it's never been an issue. It's a good balance. You don't want to necessarily grind away Bannerlord too much and get burnt out. So switching it up and having a group of friends to play with and play another game with, that's always been very important to us, at least.
Well, that's a good point.
Yes.
So let's move on to the next section then.
All right. So I wanted to get your lowdown on the kind of role that Nadros plays in the larger NA community, kind of if
Okay.
any at all. So I'll start with the culture of um, Nadros itself, like internally, how its people interact with each other. Would you say it's kind of like a free flowing society, or are there like kind of rules and expectations that are followed? Are there like lots of
Yeah, it's a
roles, different roles, or is everybody kind of just even?
That's a good question. I would say our culture is like it's a traditional clan culture. It's centralized around my leadership, and I have a council of people who have been in leadership for since the beginning, basically. It's all centralized. The centralization around that has been key to our structure, at least of how we discipline, how we do rules and etiquette and all that. But in terms of the cult, like the clan culture itself, I mean, it's definitely like a strong brotherhood with loyalty and camaraderie. It's really built upon that. So it is free flowing. Like you said, there's a free flow of it. Um, I've always said as a joke, like you're all free men. You're here to your for your free will. None of you are my subjects. You're not here as my conscripts or my levies or whatever. Because at the end of the day, it's a video game, right? You gotta draw the line between like military complex and then like a group of friends that happen to immerse themselves in a medieval simulation where there's rules and hierarchy and all that. So it's pretty free flowing, man. I mean, the rules is just don't be rude, don't be dishonest, don't betray your friends, like don't talk behind each other's backs. Those are the basics right there, I would say.
Okay, yeah, pretty
Uh,
simple rules that are, I guess, established and defined as
oh, actually, let me pull up I did write. I felt because this is a good question. This is important about building a culture. So I did happen to write a code of conduct, and
that
I could
is
read.
something.
I could read it out loud. I'll just
Please do. Or
summarize
if
the
you have a
basics.
screenshot, I can pull it up for everyone to see. Or if you just want to read it, I'll
Yeah,
mute my
yeah.
mic right now.
Let me send that to you, brother. It's I think it was like an AI generated, so it may not be perfect, but it's just something I spitballed because it was it's cool to write this in stone so people kind of don't get
Yes, yeah.
confused when they
I
first
think
join.
this is. I mean, before you start reading it, I think that is the main issue with Bannerlord, and honestly, a lot of society. We can't go there. The main issue with Bannerlord and the Bannerlord community is that people are like, "Oh, these guys are terrible. They act, in the worst ways. These guys in my clan, in other clans, I hate the way they act." But you're like, "Hey, can we have a talk with them and decide how to fix that issue?" Or like, "Hey, can we do something about that?" And they're like, "Nope, we have to let them do whatever they want to do." Like, no. If you let people do whatever they want to do, they do bad. That's why we have rules, right? So this is amazing. I love
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it's it's the simple. Well, to me, the simple things that this is kind of how it's always been. So I've always been very consistent with this stuff. Like loyalty and respecting leadership, um, protection of the innocent. Don't haunt the serfs or the doctors. Don't harass people. Don't grief people. Oh, then number four, I thought it was kind of like a meme, but also it as a clan leader, this is like very important to establish to your members is like if you're not in a position of leadership, you shouldn't be ranting and openly discussing strategy and diplomacy in front of like the faction or in the VC is because that can cause confusion. For example, just say you get halted by another clan across the map, and a soldier's like, "These guys halted us, man. Let's go war them. Why are we not warring them?" It's like that's just uncalled for. That's something you don't want to hear. So I had to write that in the code of conduct. It's like people not talking about diplomacy and strategy if you're not in a position of leadership. I feel like that's very important. Um,
that's the truth. Well, let me ask you this question. I definitely, I've been in positions of leadership before where that does get you in more trouble than is worth, more trouble than you can pay people to forget. Uh, but I've also been in a situation where I am that guy talking about some of those things. Uh, are you in your clan, hypothetically? Are you open to people bringing forth ideas, like if they have something, if they like privately DM it to you, like, "Hey, I think we can do this better. I think this idea could work out. I think we can do this to maximize our effectiveness." Is that something you would take into account, or is it more of a position of leadership is honored with having that sole dignity and responsibility?
oh yeah, it's definitely something I take into account. I guess since we've all been friends for a long time, there's a that level of respect where I'll always it's kind of like I don't know if you know anything about like Alexander, how he ran how the Greeks ran their government and all that. But it's the way that they would say it is like they would treat each other like equals in discussions like that. So you're right. I keep an open mind. I try to hear everybody, even if there's some levy that was just recruited. I want to make sure everyone feels like their voice is heard for sure.
That's good.
There is a there that, but with the guidance of my veteran leadership is there is a line that you have to draw, and you got to know when there's a right place for that, and when there's like frustrations being built up at prime time, and you have plan like 'cause there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, right? The levies don't see that. They don't see what's happening behind the scenes.
Yes.
So while you're preparing for the hour or two during prime time, and there's like a levy in your team chat talking about warring someone and like getting revenge,
Yes.
it's like
So
you gotta shut that down.
would you
You
say
know?
that I'll try to summarize it and I'll see if you agree. Would you say the summarization or the core essence of it is separating, getting good ideas if you have them to the leadership from speaking out of place? Like just because, your clan is
Yeah,
enemies with another clan,
transparency,
you can't just talk however you want.
effective communication for sure, transparency. If someone feels like something is needed, then I would prefer them to bring it up to me and discuss it with me instead of like taking it like a Wild West justice where
Yes.
they feel like the VC needs to hear their frustrations of like, being haunted or like getting revenge or whatever it may be. Is because obviously we're way more mature now, but I guess the times when that is really bad is when you're trying to work with your allies towards a goal and then your members are like on a different level of diplomacy and strategy, and it can cause confusion. So
Taking the law into their own hands.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, as much as that sounds, it just doesn't really work in reality. Because what people need to understand is there's consequences to everything you do. Like you could go war this group of 5, 10 people and get your revenge at midnight or whatever, but what happens the next day when you log on at prime time? You're gonna get, people are
Yeah,
gonna come for you. It's
yeah,
like so the soldiers. It's very important that they understand that like diplomacy in war declaration is not their that's not their field of expertise. Like they shouldn't worry about that. There's other things to worry about than worrying about the diplomacy of the clan and all that stuff. So
true, true. So you'd say that you have a kind of an equal consideration of everybody. Everybody kind of gets lifted up in the same ship, but there is proper deference given to the leadership by everyone.
yeah,
This is a
definitely.
good
Yeah,
system.
yeah. It's like a console, for sure, console based. Like I'll really be completely open minded with everything to my console, and and especially even like I said, the levies or whatever. But there are some people that are fine with just like they have that trust, so
Hmm.
they're not wondering what's happening, whatever. But actually, that now that I think about it, that's a good point. Is one thing you don't want to do is like go into a clan, like a leader meeting for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and be gone from your people like on and off. It's like so now that I think about it, being open-minded and listening from to your members and being able to have that transparency and respect, that is very important because it saves you a lot of time. You don't have to go into a meeting. Oh, hey, Warband man, I'm gonna pull you aside into a meeting and talk to you about this. Oh, hey man, I'm gonna pull you into a meeting and talk about that. It's like just be transparent with each other, man. Just have effective communication. Like I think in Nadros that's one of our best attributes is being transparent with each other. Like there is nothing that really gets swept under the bridge. We have our communication on tact for sure.
I'm noticing that there's a lot of, I mean, communication is the biggest thing. Everyone in any kind of relationship says the biggest thing is communication. I'm noticing that there is a lot of benefit had by the kind of qualitative nature of Nadros over the quantity. Because when you have those like close relationships, you're able to communicate easier. You don't have to talk to as many people. You're able to organize more loosely. You don't have to be as strict, and you don't get those. Constant, f ups that clan leaders are undone by a lot of the time. So yeah, having I wouldn't say having a smaller clan is better for that kind of style, but I would say the consequences of the clan being of a smaller nature does allow for a lot of good and impactful conditions on a team, which you're
Oh yeah,
explaining now.
absolutely. No, you just hit the nail on the head. That's been the revelation I had recently because I've gone through trials and errors with all of my different attempts of having a bigger group of like mergers and stuff like that. And recently I've had that revelation where it's very efficient to have a small group of quality people who you trust and who you have a good relationship with. Like that's like the foundation that you should go forward with in building in the future. That's what we're gonna do at least, is we're gonna, keep it, just keep it pretty small for the most part. No ambitions of great numbers or whatever it may be. It's fine. There's not that many new players to go around as it is, so it's just being realistic at the same time. Until there's an Asmon gold rush or whatever, it's like numbers are
You
definitely.
know what?
I'll keep my humility with numbers for sure.
We have to get somehow Hassan to play Bannerlord so Asmongold Gold talks about it and gets everyone back.
Yeah, Hassan versus Asmongold battle,
Yo,
and
that duel would be insane.
there would be like a 400 versus 400 field battle. Epic.
I think Warband know. I won't drop any names, but I think Warband knows someone who would sponsor that. Okay, so moving on just a little bit, we will ask which. So before this question, let me clarify. Uh, this question is not meant to spark or inflame any controversy or animosity or any drama. This is purely a statistical, an interactive pattern based question. So it's not about personality, it's about clan versus clan and numbers versus numbers. Which clan is Nadros's biggest ally and biggest rival? And so what I will say is, who do you fight with the most? Who do you work with the most? And who do you fight against the most? Whenever you have the choice. Who do you who would you say is, in a constructive way, your, kind of co role model, and your co kind of, we're kind of equal to them. We want to, one up them type of thing. If
So
you
you're
have
talking
those,
about like on a power level, where
kind
would
of kind of on a power level. I mean, there's not enough clans where it's like every clan has like a few, other similar ones like it, but are there any that you work with a lot, or any that you particularly like or respect as a clan, like as a community, that you
yeah, we'll
do
start off
things?
with the allies. That's a very easy.
It's always the better one.
Yeah, I've always relatively kept the same allies consistently for the most part. My true allies are SOEL, Pale Watch of House Atano, TMC. They go by the Misfit Clan, and then Nefarious. That's like, I would say those are my main allies right there. But I'd say in terms of friendly relations, I have other friendly relations with like people like Norway, Antidote. Um, who else? We got NATO. I like vocals. So I think before I go into the enemies part, I think it's very important that there is a distinction of like PB enemies, like in game, for the sake of just playing the mod. You got to have enemies.
Yeah,
You got to fight people,
yeah.
and
I mean, it's fun
so
to have
that's why I
enemies
was
because then you have a constant, you have a guaranteed people.
yeah.
Like, hey, if we want to do a skirm, or if we want to do like a realistic scenario, like these are the guys that we're always fighting against, so we can test stuff against them.
Yeah, I'd say when it comes to enemies, that's a very tough one because I guess I haven't really thought of anyone as my enemies per
Maybe
se,
rival.
but
I think rival is a more neutral
people
term.
people I've fought since the beginning happen to be Byzantine or Gondor. Those are people I've always been on the opposite side of, not intentionally. Sometimes it gets just things get thrown into the gutter and you just happen to be on the other side.
Hmm.
But the thing about Gondor's group is I actually I do respect them on a personal level,
Good.
and I've been there's a clean slate when it comes to that, and I'm looking forward to having friendly relations with them going forward for sure. Um, I feel like it would be a good switch up in doing something different, you know.
Yes, and I
Because
think
there's no reason for me to hate them or dislike them. I mean, there really hasn't been a real reason. So I'm kind of done entertaining the whole they're the villains and the bad guys. I don't really look at anybody like that, truthfully. So
that's good. And in
um,
terms of like PB, as you said, like you have to always be on the other side of somebody, because someone always has the castle that you want. Um, if you want to work with Gandhi, I think this is a great place to even make that declaration. I'm honored to have that
yeah,
hosted here. But hopefully there are a lot of new clans that are coming up. I know that there are small clans that who are recruiting. There are clans who occasionally link together to create a big force, and it's summertime, right? May is right around the corner. I think July is where like the school kids get out, um, and so we should be seeing some new players. And if Nadros and Gondor work together, there's always going to be someone to fight against. So some of these new player coalitions, or these newer, smaller clan coalitions, or some of the bigger clans that have maybe some more skilled players, there's always potential, and it's always great to make a story fun by switching up and doing things that aren't expected. So this I fully support. Rivals into friends.
yeah, yeah. I mean, truthfully, like I said, I have a chance to have a clean slate this map, and I'm going into it just with not really prioritizing any allies or any enemies. I'm just kind of gonna naturally go with the flow and see what happens. But like I said, it's actually pretty interesting because when you're breaking it down, there is really no personal, there is no personal beef or rivalries with anybody on a personal level.
Yes.
Like, another group I have great respect for is Tall with FMGK and Smokey. Like, and they've always been with Jom, so they're pretty powerful group between the two of them. So they've always been good people to fight. and so there's a lot of content to go around. KOTF as well. They're always up for a fight. That's important that people keep that persistence. A lot of these groups were also on FK as well. FK was a very persistent server, and there was like constant field battles going on. Just like no, it wasn't. It was never really personal, but it was intense and it was a rivalry going on. It's like that was really cool, man. And I hope that PB can actually replicate that as well. Because the issue, because like you said, that's a good question, allies and enemies. But the issue with PB is there is no real sense of that because everything is either revolving door or the battles mean nothing. The sieges last for 15, 20 minutes or 3 hours. You can't even get in. It's like there is really a lack of meaning and purpose to the wars and the battles. So
Yeah, I think if they made it so that there were more castles and you could like grow the amount of castles that your clan owns, then the battles would really have a meaning because you would have something to work towards. I keep saying that,
yeah,
but
yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. I mean, there's a in terms of like the quality of life and the features. The problem with that part of it though is it's like there is like a creative um indifference when it comes to the opinions about stuff like that, unfortunately. And I guess some people like it the way it is. I mean, I think there can be a lot of improvements made, but that's another discussion for sure. In terms of like what the mod can do better and all that. But but basically, I guess the main point is I would like to have more meaning into an alliance, into having enemies. Like I hope that there can be more meaning into that.
Yes, I think
And
significance is the biggest thing. Like, why do people come here? If you have to show people videos and give like a 5 paragraph explanation of why you should play this game, then it's that's a hard sell, right? So,
yeah,
and the biggest thing, as I'll remind, is that all of the friends and enemies talk. I mean, friends, that'll transcend the server, but enemies is only in the server. Once you leave the server, you're not enemies anymore. You're friends, you're buddies. That's who we are in the Bannerlord community.
yeah. It's
well,
just that is the thing about that is that may be true, but it's not the reality of the community. It does get personal.
Yeah, I mean that's
It
true. We
does.
we
It
want to
does.
try as best we can to fix that issue and kind of reverse it. But I guess I'll say that that's the ideal version. What we have now is a little bit less ideal, but we'll work to get there.
Yeah, I think persistent mods is, you know, it is one of those things where it is like it's healthy for the mod to have beef and there to be like rivalries, like you said. It's just when people take it to a personal level, it just oh man, it always just it's cringe, man. It really is. There's
Yeah,
nothing worse than having like your actual personal life be affected by the actions of something that happens in game or whatever. Or your
that's true.
clan members, being attacked for whatever reason. It's like that necessarily hasn't happened to me. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just in general, how things have always gone. There needs to be a new vision,
Yeah, I
a
think
new
that's a pattern
vision.
I've noticed too, where it's like no matter how much the clan leaders talk with each other, like it tends to be like the community, the communities that interact with each other in the game don't interact with each other or know each other outside of the game. So you only
Oh,
ever exist to someone
good
as
point.
someone that robbed me or constantly like goes to war with my castle,
Or
but like
or the
there's never
propaganda
any.
they've been fed by their leadership. Like a
Yes,
lot of the levies and stuff, they only know a person by what they've been told by their leadership.
yes,
You
that's
know.
exactly my upbringing in the Bannerlord community.
And it's funny because, I'll use a great example is this new pickup skirmish server. There's like a lot of people from different clans playing in there just as
Yep.
people, right? Not as a clan member.
Precisely. I
Um,
can't even like when I get
and
mad at these people, I don't even know what clan they're from.
yeah,
That's
it's like
great.
I'm in there and I'm like, dude, wait, hold on. We had beef in PB, bro. Like we're like good friends, man. Like we're getting along, we're having a good time. Like how is this even a thing? Like I guess that's where it puts it into perspective. And also to touch on it, that's why it is important for people to branch out to the native side of things and go play like TDM, MM, pick up skirmish, battle. It's like whatever it may be, is because you can broaden your perspectives instead of just being one dimensional with the way your way of thinking. I feel like there is a little bit. certain groups in this community do have that culture where they keep their people like sheltered and their propaganda and their way of thinking, where like the members don't really know what's happening on a community scale. They just take the word out of the mouth from their leadership about what's happening or whatever. So like
That's the easiest way to do it.
you load into a game and you have a levy that you've never even talked to, be like cussing you out and calling you fucking, whatever name. It's like, dude, I've never even interacted with you, man. Like, it can't ever be that personal. It can't ever be like that. It really can't. And like, like I said, in game context, totally fine, man. Like, if you get halted and you're like, fuck you, man, it's like that's fine. But
Yes.
when you're like trying to go into native side of things and play with others and like branch out to other groups, it's like, and then you're getting this hostile treatment from people. That's not okay to me, I guess.
Has
That's a
that
big turn
happened
off
to
for
you?
me. It's happened in a group particularly called MM, where like people will go into MM and then there will be some beef from the past that gets brought up, and uh or just people being who they are, the clan they are, they just get, you know, persecuted for it. Um like I said, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm just saying that it's the native side of things, it's a good chance to broaden your perspectives and not be a clan member, or just be you. And I think that's important for people to understand. Maybe I'm not the native side, but the competitive side of things, because like I said, healthy competition is great, but
Yes.
when it gets
Always.
personal and it gets that's when it crosses the line. Because it's a video game at the end of the day. I don't know how it could ever be that hostile.
Yes, and I mean, I think it's a two-way street, right? Because toxicity is a relationship. So when you
Yeah,
have the game, and you can be like the most vile, the most like rapacious, the most brutal person while you're at war, and then when the war stops, you stop fighting and you stop being toxic, right? And then
yeah,
outside,
yeah,
there's a mechanism to separate to bad times from good times. When you're outside of the server, when you're in the community, in discords, in other games, in VCs, whatever, there's no physical or theoretical barrier between good times and bad times. If they don't like you, they are free to just say whatever, do whatever, and you kind of just have
that's a
to
good point.
separate physically, like leave that area, or you know start firing back, and then it gets toxic, and then other community members start to get involved based on clan lines, and then all rationality breaks down. So
Yep.
outside, I think inside the game even is better because there is a physical, literal separation. Outside, that's where we need to look at where do we separate the hostility from the civility.
Yeah, definitely. It's always been my burning question for a while. I don't know if I have an answer to that, truthfully.
I don't think I do either yet. Not yet. Um. Okay. So moving on, let us go to Nadros's greatest achievement in all of your. How many years would you say you've been playing?
2 years.
2 years. Um, lot happens in 2 years. What would you say is Nadros's greatest achievement over the course of 2 years? You can list
That's a good
multiple if you
question.
want, in different disciplines if you want.
I would have to say, at least sitting here now, off the top of my head, I would have to say just building a community of people who are actually real friends and on a day-to-day basis are hanging out with each other and spending time together. That is like that holds the most weight for me in terms of achievements. Like the achievements in game and stuff. I guess there hasn't been anything off the top of my head, but building a community of friends, that was my goal in the beginning, and it's still my goal now, and it's happy to see that actually still being true to this day. I'm very proud of that for sure. We built something special here, and I'm very my greatest achievement for sure. It's something where I can go away and stop playing games and like stop being becoming Discord. I know that it's still going to be there because of the people, people that have that connections with each other are still going to keep it going. So I would say that's my something I feel is my greatest achievement for sure.
That is an achievement, surely. You always live on through the people that you touched. So, even if you stopped playing Bannerlord right now, your name would still be in legend somewhere.
Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to think about. But I guess to me, it's like I I've always wanted people to feel like their time is worth it here, and that they can be special in their own right. They're not just some levy or conscript. They can actually be who they want to be, and seeing people evolve from what they used to be is another amazing thing as well. And people who started off as someone who had no purpose, no, they didn't have anything to look forward to. Now they're a dedicated member of leadership and guiding people to be better and hold people accountable. It's like it's an amazing thing to see. Because like I said, I guess that your legacy, that's a good answer of achievement, is the legacy that I've built with my group, my people, my friends. That's the most important thing to me by far. And I know no matter if I'm here or not, that they're all gonna keep playing with each other, keep being friends, and that's all I care about for sure.
Yep, and I think a lot about the time that I spend on Bannerlord. It is not a small amount of time at all. And as someone who is, an adult, I weigh the reasons why I spend my time here. So when it comes to real life, I don't think I could name or list anything else more important than the actual friendships and connections and real
Yep,
impact that you make person to person.
definitely.
With that being said, Warband, take it from here, sir.
Okay, so we touched on this a little bit, but does your clan ever run into problems? And what kind of problems do you run into, and how do you deal with these problems?
That's a good question. In terms of like PB related things, I guess it could be like, you know, um, thought like alliances that fall out, or having too many enemies at once, or something like that happening where we get unfavorable numbers, we get sieged, we get wrecked, but I mean, I guess in terms of problems, there really isn't many besides just being put into unfavorable positions and persistence. Outside of persistence, there really isn't that any problems at all, at least from what I know.
Okay, well
But
that's good to hear. So my next question is, what's your overall goal that you're leading your clan towards? Is it more
oh,
game focused or is it more community focused?
community focus for sure, man. 100% community focus. That
Yeah, I could have guessed that one.
It's not something that I'm not like an Alexander the Great visionary where I'm like preaching this every day and exhausting people. But I would say, obviously due to the decline of persistent mods, it's a good vision to have of of building up a community where we have a network of other games and also other clans that we play with in these other games. I guess the community that we really have is like, a community of like my clan, Nadros, TMC, Pale Watch of Watano, and SOEL, and Nefarious guys. Like we have kind of all bonded together and been playing play other games, and I guess anyone could just message each other and be like, hey man, hop in Arma, or hop in 7 Days to Die, hop in whatever. It's like, if we can kind of polish that up a little bit to where there's more consistency and more organization on that community level, I feel like that would be really beneficial for sure. But that's my goal. I guess I haven't really put too much thought into that, but off the top of my head, I'd say the vision is a community for sure. Is building a community that
Okay,
goes
that's
beyond
cool.
Nadros. Sorry, that goes beyond Nadros, where there's other groups involved.
Ah.
Do you mostly play persistent Bannerlord when you play Bannerlord, or do you also
Um,
play other things?
Myself, when I play Bannerlord, no, I've been playing a lot of MM and skirmish lately because I'm one of one of my good friends, Matic. He's the captain of a B division team, and I'm on that team, so I've been having to play a lot of skirmish lately. But a lot of my members, like I think my number two Zion, he's been playing a lot of MM. I'd say people are slowly walking their way to the skirmish side of things, just due to, like myself, Matic, kind of leading the way on that, showing people like, hey, the competitive side can be fun. There's a lot of fun to be had in learning and improving your skill. There's a lot of fun to be had in that. So skirmish is a great way of improving because it forces you to play to have better mechanics. So but I would say, yeah, that's definitely what I would have to say. Um, I know
Okay.
that a lot of my leadership goes into TDM and duel and just like duels messing around, like spars each other, like tops. Who's in the chat right now? Tyrion, Fly Marbo, Alice, like people like that. Those are people that are always going in and out of TDM and skirmish, or not skirmish, duels and stuff, and just messing around. But I would say as a clan leader, I want not just my leadership, but all of the members to be more open to playing skirmish and seeing how good it can be for their own development as a player. Because improvisation can only get you so far. There are times where it is needed where you need to know the mechanics and you need to at least try to see how good you can be, on a personal level of a player. Um, in persistence, you don't really have much time to do that. But in the downtime of persistence, that's when you definitely want to start playing more skirmish and more duels and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say we have like probably like 5 to 6 active people on Bannerlord every day, even if the server is dead or whatever it may be. Just like, yeah, like I said, going through skirmish, duels, TDM, whatever it may be.
Okay, well that's cool. So, does House Nadros have any projects that's working on right now?
Uh, Not right now, but there is one I'm a part of, and it's called Pickup Skirmish. I'm only just an admin on there, and I'm a player as well.
Oh,
But
I've tried that out
it,
recently. I know the KOTF boys love it.
yeah, and I think it's founded by people like Fives, Clarky, Matthew, Peyton, Simon, and Gavin. I think I'm not too sure, but they have put together a server where it's like a new player friendly, competitive, kind of like get in there and improve type of competitive environment. Um, it's like, okay, to simplify that, it's a less toxic version of MM. So, because trust me, MM is appealing. I know it is to competitive people, but as a new player, oh man, it's definitely not the
It's
most
not new player
attractive.
friendly.
Yeah, and pick up skirmish, like you're gonna have a good balance of playing with new people who are on your level, and then being on teams of like really good people who are gonna hopefully IGL you and give you constructive criticism that you need to hear. It's like I would say it's from an anime perspective, I would say it's been very, very chill. It's been very new player friendly, and even for people who are trying to go in there, just play a couple skirmish games and get off tonight. It's a great use of their time for sure.
It's very simple
But
too.
I
I mean, it does if you could join in the middle of a game, it takes some time. But other than that, like you just click some buttons and then you're in, you're ready, and you just play. And I really like how it is just like an open community. There's no map, there's no like elo system, so
Yeah,
you can
definitely.
get killed in every single way in the book and learn from that. And so every single way in the book can't kill you anymore. You can only get killed by ways that aren't in the book. So that's what training really boils down to.
Yep, definitely. And I put the link into the chat, but I'd say this is a great server to like for any player that has an interest in competitive and you want to try to play some skirmish. This is a great server to start for sure. Um, Having active like multiple games going at once would be like the dream, man, for sure. You could get a lot of reps in that way. I know there's been some people on there have been grinding all day. It's like imagine how much they've already improved from being in a positive environment like that. Like that's the vision in terms
I
of
just think it's
project.
crazy how you can't even like play skirmish just on the default Pale Worlds.
Oh
Like,
man,
like
yeah,
people
dude.
have to like create these extra servers just so that people can play skirmish.
Well, now that they've gotten here's a small theory. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm cooking, or maybe I'm cooked. I think since Bannerlord released that update, they have a new DLC and some mechanics updates, I think, and and I think it's pretty likely that they'll be sending out like feelers and people like scouts to see how the community has reacted. Hopefully, someone catches on to like the massive amount of discontent that the multiplayer community has with the native servers. And so, if by the end of the summer, that issue isn't fixed, then I guess we'll truly know how Tailworlds feels about us. But I have faith that it's not the end.
Yeah, I gotta just for the sake of just having hope. Again, I gotta keep optimism. Tail Worlds hasn't done the best job, but who knows, right? You never know.
Yes, and that all just rests upon the fact that they just released a DLC, and they'll probably want to know how the community feels about it. I don't know if they'll only be focusing on single player just because of the metrics, but
Well, that
if
would
they
line up with their previous behavior.
okay, maybe it would, but I think there's a higher likelihood, if any, that that they'll catch something now, because it's all people have been talking about for the past long time, long time.
The funny part is that they used to like update multiplayer for the longest time, and I feel like they made it worse over a period of time with their updates. But um, the funny part about it is that now they feel like they've done a good job and they've finished multiplayer, but they actually just broke a bunch of stuff and left it. But
That's pretty funny. I have to admit.
Okay.
It's thing about I guess the last thing I'll say is Tail Worlds. They have their hands on a 200 IQ concept, man. Like Mountain Blade is
Yes.
a beautiful concept. I would say, even like obviously from a single player perspective, it is a popular game. I mean, if you look at the Steam metrics, people play this game.
Yes.
It's just how can this game go to the next level? Because obviously, if you guys have played single player Bannerlord, it wasn't the best,
Not the
and it was
best.
it was a big letdown, especially compared to Warband.
So my
So
friend
obviously,
described Bannerlord as CK3 in first person. I would actually, now that I have a little bit more experience with more franchises, I would describe it as Total War in first person. Obviously, Creative Assembly made both games. You can see direct corollaries. Um, I think I think that just by itself, if you've played Total War and loved it, like a lot of people have, you're gonna love Bannerlord.
definitely,
Just
yeah.
multiplayer, it gets hard. But sorry, I cut you
I mean,
off.
I would say like 3 or 4 years ago when I happened to have I just got home. I moved home from Vegas. I was like 20, 21 years old. Um, I happened to pull up my old PlayStation 4, and I was looking through the PlayStation 4 store, and I saw Warband for sale. And oh, maybe this was like 5 years ago, but I bought Warband, and I was like, okay, I've never played this game. I've never watched a video on it before. I'm gonna play it for the first time and see how it is. And I'm telling you right now, that was one of the best games I've ever played. That experience of grinding Warband single player was an amazing experience. And so obviously there's a very they have something good with Mountain Blade. It's just what is the vision for Tail Worlds in the future? Because I don't really know if single player all these updates is the play, because that's just very inconsistent. There's a lot of instability behind that. I would say multiplayer, having like some competitive system ingrained into the server, like into the multiplayer server, and then the persistence, like in the modding, like that. These are things Halo Wars has got to really focus on, man. Like that's what the majority of people are really interested in right there.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, that's a good summary of it all, and hopefully, if we can get that isolated clip, we can work on those individual issues, or maybe get someone to send Tailworlds an email and beg them.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the second section about your Nadros's role in the larger NA community, and it'll be more of a kind of a dialogue between you and the community rather than you with us. So the first question within that is, how do you think the NA community can be improved and extended into the people who only play single player? So what like methods or like strategies would you have for achieving those goals, if any, if you could think of any?
I mean, I would have to say a stable, persistent server with a big content side of it, with multiple content creators who are supported by the community and not like discouraged. That would be unbelievably clutch right there. There are people that want to do content. There are people that have a creative mindset. It's just for whatever reason the community hasn't been very supportive um to seeing that grow. Like people can support and like, like tune in or whatever, but it's like there's a creative side of it that needs to be supported as well of like people's ideas. Like PE had that a couple years ago. I don't know if you've seen some of the PE videos, like that guy being the news reporter or whatever. Like those videos alone got in so many players to come play the game. Like Neko Blano's videos got a lot of people to play the game. So it's like a stable, persistent server where like a new player can come play and then not have to worry about the server dying like a week or two. Because if that happens, guess what? They're gonna go play another game. They're just gonna disappear. They're not gonna come back.
And every
Um,
time that it dies like so quickly, you lose a couple players who are never going to come back because
yep,
they
exactly.
would just think that it's this mod can't even last for like a month. You know,
Yeah.
I'm finished. I'm not going to give it a second chance.
Yes, and I mean, I
So
think right now there's a particular dynamic between NA and EU, where EU events, there's a whole lot of them, and they're very well run. And if you're a PBNA player, PBNA shuts down, you're like, okay, well, at least there's HRBH once a week, right? But like the other 6 days of the week, you're like, okay, well, sometimes there's, I think OM runs an event, Atria runs an event, but there's not as much bulk and as much sheer volume as the EU scene has, and so we might even get a worse scenario than people leaving. We might just get NA people just going to EU and staying there.
yeah, man. I mean, these are very important things to think about. That's why a stable, well, to me, I guess, in just my opinion, I think the concept of a persistent mod is an amazing idea that people will like people who because the question is like, how can single player people like how can they be attracted to the multiplayer side? It's like, well, a persistent server that's stable and can be relied upon. That's an amazing connection there with the single player audience. I would have to say, uh, it's just I think it's time to start thinking about the question: is PB the future of persistence mods? Because I'm a little bit indifferent to that now. I don't know
No,
if
it's certainly not.
yeah. So I would just like to hope that new players, if I have a dialogue to anyone in the community, understand that there can be other things that happen. There can be other mods that come about. PB doesn't have to be the answer forever. And I would encourage
Amen.
people out there who have creative mindsets to get creative, man, and don't feel like you're going to be discouraged or attacked if you try to get creative with your ideas. I mean, I know I have a really close friend of mine who's working on a project for the future. I'm not going to disclose it, but it just comes down to having that courage to do that, do something different.
I've
Because
heard about more than one persistent style mod in development right now.
that's
Oh,
great, man.
So
That's great
yes.
news.
I've
More
heard
the
it.
let's
merrier.
Yeah, I've
throw
heard it
that out
too.
there.
There doesn't have to be one singular one that everyone puts all their
Yeah,
chips
and
into.
I mean,
one
it
thing
would
that
be
I
it would be excellent for us to have like a local hub for a lot of NA players
Of
to go
course.
to.
Right.
But in the absence of that, there definitely is a better benefit to if there is isolated communities, each one of them having a great incentive to stay in the game, get more people in the game, and love the game and the community.
Yeah, man.
and the other thing is that like when persistent bannerlords does get like the entire community to log on because there's not an alternative mod, what happens is that the mod just crashes and everyone leaves. So having more than one mod that can support or even more than one server that can support a larger player population is essential to avoid like just
That's true.
Yep.
the mod crashing.
Oh, and I just thought something. A good reference I can use here, and I'm gonna shout someone out is
Okay.
Feudal Kingdoms FK. That mod was. I'm telling you right now, that was a great experience. I had a lot of fun,
I've
man.
only heard good things about Feudal Kingdoms.
And the person behind that, Tenton, was a true creative genius when it came to that. The vision, obviously, it something happened with the vision, but man, Tenton, I'll give him and my followers for sure because he did a great job with that, and he had the courage to kind of stand up and try to do change, create change, and be different. And I was a huge supporter of FK, and that good concept and idea. If someone can take that concept of FK and be the visionary behind it, oh my gosh, that would do wonders for this community, man. It's just that's the one thing FK lacked was Tenton was the creative genius, but the visionary behind it, there wasn't a visionary, Like there needs to be a visionary that can take it to the next level. And I don't know, man. I guess it's kind of like an inside joke amongst my friends is we always say like, "Oh man, we hope FK comes back." But it's like that's really the truth though. Like I hope one day someone can take something like that. It doesn't have to be called FK, but someone can take a mod that was as good as that mod and like revive it and do it long term and make sure it brings stability to it. Because that was a lot of fun, man. I had so much fun. Like even if you're losing wars or whatever, it was still a lot of fun. There was a lot of content. The administration team was going around creating content, like doing like these little side quests. It wasn't corny either. It was all organic.
Oop. We have experienced an internet difficulty. I was hoping that wouldn't happen. And I presume it's just my Discord again. Give me one moment. This is an excellent conversation so far with Patty Nadros of House of Nadros, a great community, seemingly one that focuses a lot on their internal culture, their quality as a team, their unity, instead of mass numbers and effectiveness by over quantity. I'm going to uh, end my Discord and then restart it to see if that helps. It is a strange and wonderful world we live in. By the way, we have a few updates on the big discussion for Persistent Bannerlord that's coming up. I'm calling it Banners of PB. That's going to be the title. And I don't know if I can say the people that are on. I can say the numbers. We have 5 clan leaders and 2 special guests. At least one host, me, and then hopefully Warband can make it as well. My Discord is still failing. So, as our last resort, we will do the tried and true method of connecting from my telephone until Discord gets its shit together. One moment, please.
one of the things that NA lacks is the lack of volume for people to play and do, like outside of just a persistent server. Like E, like you said, has all these things going on all the time. People have like well, it's very stable actually. People have a schedule on E. They know when this day is, on this day I'm going to do this, and this day I'm going to do that. Like, man, NA doesn't have to do everything on the weekend. We can spread things out throughout the week as well in terms of like these small scale things,
Yeah.
But I guess what the thing about NA is it's very tribal and clan dominated. So clans don't want their people to go to things without their whole clan being their leadership being there. I feel like, so maybe that's why some of these small scale events will not succeed so much, is because if the clan leader can't be there or his best players, and they're not going to show up.
That's
So
true. I mean, I've
pretty
noticed that kind
unfortunate.
of on a small scale and big. I mean, some big controversies have been, referenced with regard to that. And then I've noticed a lot of smaller scale things happening, where events get not done or canceled because of certain we just prefer to not do it unless this guy's here or unless this guy's not here or something like that.
Yeah, like I said, I guess the clan dominant thing, because I've only been in this community for 2 years, so that's something I've never been attracted to, is the fact that NA is very clan dominated. I know I'm a clan leader myself, but the culture is definitely like, if the clans have all the power, they're like the pillars that control what the community does. I guess that's why I like persistence a lot, is because persistence is kind of like, you can kind of create your own story without having to need a clan or whatever. But maybe that was a little bit of part of why PB wasn't so successful, is because people in PB tried to play it like it was a script. Like, hey guys, today we're going to siege them at 7. Everyone needs to participate. Clans need a banner call at this time. It's like, well, no, it's a persistent server. Things can happen throughout the day. It doesn't need to be scripted and organically done, So
that's exactly what I said in my video that I recently made. Like, it's like all the power was in the hands of the clans, to the point where like players can't really hop on the server and take over a castle. Like, it's like, I think it was like written into the rules that like each clan has a castle, and but it was just crazy. Like, that's totally missing the point of a persistent server.
And that's why you would have loved FK, man. I'm telling you right now, FK, like there was a little bit of an offlining, but the thing about the offlining thing is that did fuel the in-game rivalry like crazy, and that was where the fun was had. So I think if, like, okay, just say a clan leader feels like he owns a castle. If he gets his castle offline, he should not let his pride get affected, because he could just take it back the next day, right? Like, pride can't be affected where a person's like, how dare this person offline me, my mighty clan, I'm a mighty clan leader, how dare you dare standing up against me. It's like, well, just go beat him the next day and take it back, man. It's a persistent server. No one owns anything. You hold it. It's yours to hold and defend. And I don't know, I guess that was a part of FK that I absolutely loved, because people who were active and were playing were rewarded, right?
Yeah, and absolutely, like that, and they wonder why the player base died, because the clans have other stuff that most of the clans that were playing have other things they would rather be doing, like playing skirmish, like. But if you make it so that you have to be on in order to hold the castle, suddenly the story changes, and you're gonna have more people online.
Yeah, is it going to be a challenge? Of course, but that's like a part of the fun, though. I guess that's where people's sportsmanship's got to improve. Is like, it's okay to be put in a situation where you're battling for your own castle. Like, that's how it should be. I mean, I'm not, by no means am I trying to bring in a Rust culture into this, but in Rust, it's like, dude, you had to fucking defend your stuff, man. You were never safe, and like in an FK environment, man, like the strong dominant clans, they didn't necessarily have to fear being offline, because they were gonna get their vengeance the next day, so it wasn't even worth it for whoever took it.
The only thing I would say is that maybe put a time limit on it, so you can't go at like 3 in the morning and take a castle.
Oh yeah. That's what FK eventually did when it got a little bit, when people kind of escalated it too far. It was both sides, by the way. Both sides, my side, the Rodoc, and then the Byzantine side. It just got out of hand. It was really no one's fault. I mean, maybe someone could blame Rodoc, maybe someone could blame Byzantine, but it was back and forth. I guess from the administration's perspective, they did they understood that it was getting out of hand, so they did set a rule where people couldn't cap a castle after like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. It was like something like that, which kind of makes sense, because
like
3 a.m. I could get
you playing at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I could get you guys on and be like, hey, I'm gonna go just grief my enemy's castle, and it's like, no, man. I mean, but that's where the gentleman's part of persistence comes in. Is like, why don't you just set up an agreement, man, with your enemies? Like, you can do diplomacy with your enemies too, man. Like, hey, man, like, why don't we agree a gentleman's agreement where we don't offline each other? It's like, have people not thought of that? It's like, you don't have to just play it out like, oh, I'm never gonna do diplomacy or make no negotiations with my enemies. It's like, no, dude, that's a part of the mod too. You have to. That was the best thing about FK is, there were certain settlements that had certain resources. Like one settlement had flags, another had a mine, another had I think like weed or something. But the resources were distributed amongst the smaller fiefs. So like there had to be negotiations that were made where like a small clan, even if they're enemies with someone, they're like, look, like I'll let you get some flags, in exchange for this, and this, and this. It's like there were a lot of diplomacy. There's a lot of diplomacy being done, and it was also a constant cycle, a shift of like diplomacy of like one vassal clan getting upset with their overlord, so they go join the other side. It's like there was a lot of cool stuff like that happening. It wasn't like, hey guys, we're all logging at 7, sieging for an hour, getting off, kumbaya, bye bye. It's like
yeah, we're all gonna siege, but first we have to wait like 1 hour because we have to call everyone online.
Yep. Things don't have to be scripted, man. Like the scripting part of persistence is where
the scripting part is like, it's like there should be times when there's like a major event, and maybe then you have a little bit of like planning, but it doesn't have to be like every time, like this.
Yeah. Well, the worst part about it though is the justification for the scripting and stuff is like, we need content. It's like, no, you need content. The persistent people don't need it because they're active throughout the day and night and they're always finding things to do. It's your clan that needs the content. If anyone ever acts that way where they're like, we need content, like it's like their daily deal, it's like, dude, hold on. Like, go create it then. Don't script it, man. Like I don't know.
So
man.
I think scripting is relying on scripting, we can all agree, is a terrible thing and it will get you nowhere. But scripting, I think, is just supposed to be like baking soda, right? Like you have bread and it'll always be bread no matter what, right? But if you add baking soda, it just rises a little. So scripting should make things look, a little bit prettier whenever you can, but don't be afraid to eat the regular unleavened bread whenever you have to. Relying on always, having the biggest, brightest, most fancy thing or nothing at all it's great for the screenshots, but you never get actual full videos when it comes to that.
Well, these guys are out here like eating baking soda, basically.
Well, the thing is, there's a time and place. A scripted thing needs to be